Welcome to episode 44 of the MMG podcast. I am Chris, and I'm joined once again with my good friend, Go Cubs 711.
Let me read you from my memoir.
Okay.
Potatoes. The King County Cougars. The number 7. A pair of shoes, but both of them are left. The close-ups at sports games. Carl from Jimmy Neutron. The video game Bowser's Inside Story.
Okay.
Skeletons playing the xylophone, either the xylophone itself or their bones as a xylophone. And you know those rainbows that you make you get when you spray a hose?
Yes.
Yeah.
That.
Thank you for reading my memoir.
So, can you please give us a literary analysis of that?
Well, clearly it's just a bunch of random shit that I threw together, but it's all just like things. Like it's a list.
Where did this
It's a list of things.
Where did the list come from?
On my phone that I had 2 years ago that I'm currently using because my other one is in the store. Being repaired.
Oh, I see. So you got a lot of nostalgia just flowing back at the moment. Fair enough. Welcome everyone to the podcast. Happy end of November.
Post-Thanksgiving.
Yeah, post Thanksgiving. It's so weird that it's still November and we're past Thanksgiving, but hey, calendars are weird.
Yep.
We
calendars were invented by humans. They don't actually exist.
Yeah, pretty much.
Stick that on your wall.
Yeah.
In place of your calendar.
Yeah. Just stick that quote and just remember every day, time is an illusion.
Time is an illusion that humans created, like fucking everything else. How else would you be listening to this podcast, you idiot?
That's true. It's very true. So, I mean, I feel like I've been saying this every week, but it feels like the final stretch of the season. Everyone
5 weeks left.
Everyone is done with their buys. Everyone has 5 games left, and it now shit gets real. We start having playoff scenarios rolling in.
I will be recapping those every week.
Yeah.
From right out.
Yeah, the games are a lot more high stake games, pretty much. Any chance for you to get into the playoffs, you basically need to win every game in December. This is where it matters.
Or you could fuck up entirely.
Right, which happens all the time.
Yep.
I did the math. All disaster and all hell has to break loose, but the Raiders and 49ers can still make the playoffs.
What level of tie scenarios?
None, actually.
Really?
There is no tie scenarios, not yet.
The
anyway,
Cardinals make the playoffs.
the Cardinals can as well.
Okay.
The way I did it was I took the last 2 teams in each conference, which in according to NFL.com and a few other places, it is the Raiders and the Niners, and you can still feasibly be a 6 seed. But we are entering a point though, like we said, this week is when the floor is about to collapse from underneath those teams.
Yep.
You're gonna see. I'm gonna guesstimate maybe like 5 or 6 teams eliminated this weekend.
Can I break just a quick sidebar?
Yeah, sure.
I fucking hate the word guesstimate.
Why?
Guess and estimate both mean the same thing. You don't have to combine them. If you are making an estimate, you are guessing. That is the point of an estimate. Carry on.
Listen. It's just a funny way of speaking. That's where I come down on that issue.
You dang New Yorkers.
The weird speaking is my point of view. I mean, moist is among my most frequently used
moist.
Moist
Like actually describes something. Moist is a thing.
Well, moist is also outcasted by half of society, though.
Yeah, and they're wrong.
That's yeah. At least we agree on that front.
Yeah.
Uh,
Moist is fine. Guesstimate doesn't make any fucking sense.
fair enough.
Carry on with the podcast.
Let's we're gonna go back now. We're gonna recap week number 12. And it's weird. I actually, now I'm looking at it, I don't think we're actually even discussing any of the Thanksgiving games, but
No, we're not.
we'll certainly talk about the Thanksgiving teams. Obviously, we're talking about every team this week when we get to our picks. But we're going to start out with the game of the week, and that was Seahawks at Panthers. Mr. Go
I'm gonna
Coach, you
take this
watched?
one.
Yeah, please take this one.
Unfortunately, I only watched the first half and change of the. But this game proved that the run in how like super offensive the NFL is going, that the run game is not yet dead. Christian McCaffrey had a career game. The Seahawks rushers in general this season are fucking fantastic. And that's what kind of led these teams to victory was the rushing by both teams.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of it all, it proved kickers are important. Graham Gano unfortunately missed a field goal in the last few minutes, and Sebastian, whatever his last name is,
Janikowski.
Janikowski, that's it. I knew it was some like Polish one, but made his. So and that's what ended the game. These two teams were neck and neck the entire game. It was really entertaining to watch. I think it's like I still think Carolina is a good team, obviously a very, very good team at home. And the fact that Seattle was able to not only like keep up with Carolina the entire time, but beat them. Seattle, this is not a transition year for them.
Yeah.
Seattle is if they weren't part of the game of the week, I would have picked them for my most surprising, because they like, with how bare bones they seem, they're still a good football team, which is weird to think at this point in the year.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I think that the Seahawks, and this is, I feel like this was starting to become the vibe around, I would say, like week 8 or so, where the Seahawks they're starting to look like a team that, despite having lost a ton of its stars in the offseason, that it's still going to be a competitive team, and that I very much think they're in the mix for the wild card, and I think they'll be in it at the end. I mean, their schedule is not that difficult down the stretch. They still have to face the Niners twice. They have to face the Cardinals once. They could easily beat the Vikings, and then their only really tough test is, I would say, the Chiefs. And that's gonna be a hell of a game. That's in Seattle, week 16, Sunday Night Football. I don't know. I look. It's so weird thinking that, they were gonna be near the bottom, and they're just kind of trudge along.
You and I especially like considered them like near the bottom of the NFC, or at least in the bottom half.
Yeah, for sure, and they've once again proven us wrong, and I love when teams do that. And
the Rams could have clinched the division if Seattle had lost. That didn't happen.
Yeah, so Seattle's just barely holding on for a chance for a division win. So that would of course take utter disaster.
That would take a total meltdown from the Rams at this point.
Yeah,
but still, like Seattle making their case for a wild card.
One of my big takeaways about this game is that Seattle played a really great game, and I do think that they're going to be in the mix for the playoffs. But my main concern was that the Panthers, there was a lot of mistakes in this game by the Seahawks, and the Panthers did not jump on top of that, and they did not really do a good enough job at coming back from, like, or actually being like, okay, Seattle fucked up, we have our opportunity. They never actually took that opportunity. And
which was disappointing.
And they're now on a 3-game skid. I guess it would be different if this was some of the top teams that they were facing, but in that mix is the Lions beating them.
Yeah.
and we saw what the lines were on Thursday. So I don't know. I'm concerned about the Panthers. I'm concerned about their next stretch. Um, the next few road games that we talked about last podcast aren't too bad. They have the Bucks and the Browns. But they do have to face the Saints, twice,
Yes.
and they also have to face, I believe, the Falcons another time as well. So
Yep.
Divisional rivalries, they're tough because you just never know what's going to happen in any of them. You could throw the records out the window. I mean, we'll see. I am hoping for the Panthers' sake that they're going to still be in it, and I do still think they're a good team. My biggest thing with them is that their defense is not where it should be. They need to
No.
get better, for sure. Next up, the blowout of the week. And really, we could just dedicate our time to the Chargers because last week they lost to the Broncos, and it was a big disappointment. Maybe it wasn't in retrospect because the Chargers come into this game back to Los Angeles, and the Cardinals jumped out to an early, I think it was a 10-0 lead or
Yeah,
something along those lines.
it was a 10-0 lead at the I believe after the first quarter.
And then the Chargers absolutely took over the game.
In a 45-0 run over 3 quarters.
Incredible. It was an absolute domination. Philip Rivers broke Kurt Warner's record for, I believe, the highest completion percentage.
Yes.
He
only missed one pass.
Yeah.
The entire game.
And that just, and it was actually, the only miss was that he had to throw the ball to the ground to avoid being sacked. If he didn't do that, he would have a perfect completion record.
Yeah.
And it was just such an impressive performance by him. Some concern for them. They did lose Melvin Gordon to an injury. He may not be out for too long, but
I think Melvin Gordon, I'm pretty sure, will be back for the postseason.
At least, yeah.
At least, if not earlier. And Austin Eckler is a pretty good backup. Like, I would not worry too much. Melvin Gordon is great, but Austin Eckler is a suitable replacement, I believe.
Yeah, the team's deep, and they show that they're talented. Joey Bosa is back in full swing too, and that's great.
Yes. They may be getting Hunter Henry back before the postseason too.
That would be incredible because many people just thought that once he went down in OTAs that he'd be done for the year. If he comes back, watch out. That's a great weapon.
Yeah. My big takeaway from this game is that this is who I thought the Chargers were gonna be before the year started.
Yeah.
This ability to just absolutely fucking dominate on both sides of the ball. Granted, it's against Cardinals, but
yeah,
still, you can't score 45 points and be a bad team.
Yeah, and
unless you're under the influence of Fitzmagic.
Of course. And the Chargers, they have a tough stretch here. They still got the Steelers next week, of course. They have the Chiefs as well, both in prime time. They have another game against against the Ravens in prime time. That's going to be on a Saturday. They do have they have to face the Broncos again, and then there's a game that I'm forgetting. There's a fifth game, not this week, but the next week they play someone. Bengals. Okay, so the Bengals they have to be worried about, but the other four, it's a tough stretch, and so
it is.
There is still a chance that the Chargers could really hurt themselves here and miss the playoffs, even though they're as good as a team as they are. Just because I think this AFC wildcard race is going to end up getting kind of tense down the stretch. There's a lot more good teams this year that are in the mix for the wild card, and all of them pretty much have relatively easy schedules except for the Chargers. So you just...
the Chargers always have a hard schedule because they have 16 away games.
Pretty much, that's true. And in that case, they would be able to overcome anything. But this could be a first big test for them. They're gonna get their primetime spotlight. I think their first primetime game this season, unless I'm mistaken, against the Steelers right here. So Very interesting for them moving forward. Next up, the team chaos of the week. Like we said earlier, it was not. It may have not been as bad for the Chargers that they lost to the Broncos, because the Broncos pulled off the upset again this week against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yep.
And
I was really surprised about this.
this
I'm sure a
was
lot of people were.
it seemed like from the beginning that the Broncos were kind of they were going to be playing tough, which I just it felt like that. This was a rematch of the 2015 playoff game. They haven't played since, and obviously different quarterback, different head coach. Everything was different, but this just seemed like a game that was going to be just going to be really tense all around, and it was. And the Broncos they came back from a deficit, and even after a Steelers fake field goal, the Steelers special teams in this game were quite fun to watch. But the Broncos come in, and Philip Lindsay is just not human. He's having an amazing season, and this does not look like too tough of a stretch for the Broncos. Do you have that schedule up by any chance for the Broncos?
I can just look through real quick. So they play the... Where are they? They play the Bengals. They play the 49ers.
Yes.
They play the Browns.
Yep.
In primetime.
Yes.
Then if this will load, probably just be easier to look up Broncos schedule instead of going through pick'em weeks.
Fair enough.
Okay. So Bengals, 49ers, Browns, Raiders, Chargers.
I mean, with the exception of the Chargers,
the other four are totally 100% winnable.
And
yeah, heavy favorite towards the Broncos. Broncos could make the postseason.
And that's again, it's another team that you're like, they're middle of the line, and especially early on this season where it just felt like, well, they did have a great start, but then they kind of really started to drop off, and it very much felt like last year where they started out kind of strong, and then they all of a sudden just completely fell off the face of the earth, losing to the Giants of all teams, and then just going into oblivion. But
the Case Keenum experiment may be working.
He's having better games. He's not playing lights out or anything, but he's having better games. And I gotta be honest, the Broncos are not one of those teams where I'd root for them just because they were already in the Super Bowl in the last few years. They've been around enough where I'm like, okay, I'm done with you. But it does feel like a different team because you have the feel good story of Case Keenum in there, because he's so much fun, and then the rookies have been so much fun to watch and rooting for, especially for a guy like Lindsay who's undrafted, completely no one. I don't think he even got an invite to the combine.
No.
Unless I'm mistaken on that front, but he was really just not considered among the top of his class, and he was he's been if the only rookie I could see maybe ahead of him was Saquon. Other than that, he's been absolutely phenomenal all year, been a huge part of this offense, and the defense has been stepping up too. Von Miller continues to be a star, and I have a lot of confidence that this Broncos team can make the playoffs. I would guarantee it even. No, I'm kidding. But no,
get fucked, Ravens.
Yeah, right. Well, it is, and this is part of the reason why I would be worried if I were the Chargers, because if the Broncos can upset you once, could they do it again? And if that ends up happening, and let's say you have losses against the Chiefs and the Steelers as well, that could be, and if the Colts keep on winning like they have been, I don't know if you make the postseason.
It's going to be super competitive in this playoff race.
Yeah, those are the three that I'm looking at. The Ravens definitely are still in the mix, as well. The Titans, and the Bengals and the Dolphins, they're up there right now too.
The Dolphins still should. The Dolphins shouldn't have as good of a record as they do.
Yeah, neither will the Bengals when all is said and done after losing Andy Dalton for the year.
Of course.
And then the Titans, I don't know at this point what's gonna happen with them. They're after beating the Patriots. They seem to be in a lull, like with their division rivals beating them.
Super Bowl hangover from beating the Patriots.
Right, essentially. I mean, they get the Jets this week. That should be easy. But then they got the Jaguars next week, which that should be easy actually too. And that's in prime time. So they might get back in the mix. Who knows? The Titans will ruin this AFC wild card again, aren't they?
Probably.
Knowing very well how this shit works, the Titans are going to be the one team that gets in over the Chargers, Broncos, Colts, and all them.
I fucking hope not.
Jesus. Yeah. And speaking of AFC South, well, I have my most surprising team, but actually, I'll start with you. What do you got for your most surprising team?
My most surprising team, I'm going to talk about the Baltimore Ravens, because even without Joe Flacco, who has been out on injury, they're still kicking ass.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Lamar Jackson, really good draft pick. Really good decision by the Ravens. And a lot of the Ravens are weird with a lot of their players, because a lot of them seem to like come out of nowhere and still do well, particularly in their backfield.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Collins, Buck Allen, and now Gus Edwards. Who heard of Gus Edwards before last week?
I thought you could tell me he was like a coordinator of a team, and I would believe you. He sounds like a coach.
Yeah, exactly. So the Ravens' ability to like still somehow kick ass, even when they're like not fully full. That's a weird way of phrasing that.
They're not fully healthy, I would
say. They're not fully healthy. So their ability to do that is really cool. They are in good hands once Joe Flacco's career is done. Lamar Jackson is going to be a great NFL quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, this week they already announced Lamar Jackson starting against the Falcons.
Yeah. Why not ride the high, especially against bad defenses?
Well, right, and I'm thinking that if Joe Flacco, because they're you have people that are saying like, oh well, Joe Flacco is healthier now, he could start this week. If they're gonna continue running Lamar Jackson, it makes you think like, did Joe Flacco already play his last game as a Raven? It's kind of surreal, but that might be the case. And the Ravens
could also be saving him for the postseason.
Also, very true.
Not that they're guaranteed to make it at this point.
Well, I mean, they've been using like the two quarterback sets where they have like Lamar Jackson come in for a play when Joe Flacco was starting. Like where you have, so they could probably use him like that too, and just have maybe Lamar Jackson more prominently in the game. The one big concern that I have for the Ravens right now is their defense, which was dominant to start the year, has kind of become more of like the middle of the line defenses that are kind of giving up all these points to these teams with like heavy offenses and stuff. And now that would be my only big concern with the Ravens right now, is that's kind of has gone away a bit. But and Lamar Jackson, he is throwing a little too much into double triple coverage. There was a quadruple coverage ball that he threw into, and I don't know, I forget if it was picked off or not, or if it was batted down, but it was a very, very dangerous throw. So he has to be more careful with the ball, but other than that, he's been playing outstanding. So just some rough around the edges with the Ravens, but they're always a fun team to watch, and I'm glad that they're succeeding at winning right now.
Yeah.
My most surprising team, I'm gonna go with the Houston Texans, and it's just because of that the past few wins that they've had have been so ridiculously close and borderline lucky that they have been able to pull out wins like they have been. I did not have the confidence in them as I did maybe when they first started the win streak. Then all of a sudden this game comes along and they just lost the Bob McNair just passed away, and he was the Houston Texans owner. His end of his life kind of was barred with controversy, but he was still the guy that brought Houston back a football team, and the town will be grateful for that. But it was the game after that happened, and just the energy for that game was better. And it was say again? Oh, because it's Energy Stadium.
Energy Stadium.
Yeah, I forgot. But the Titans, they started out, it's like kind of similar to the Cardinals Chargers game where it was like, oh, Titans start out 10-0. Oh no, the Texans are in trouble. 34 points, like, book it. Like they easily took care of the Titans. It was basically a blowout.
A Lamar Miller 97-yard touchdown run.
It was, yeah, Lamar Miller, who everyone was like has been like such a disappointment for this Texans running game, and he's starting to come back alive. And
the only like person to have more than two 95-yard plus touchdown runs.
Yeah, that's insane. And then I guess the other one was with the Dolphins. I think it had to be because that was his only other team. But the big thing, I will go on about Deshaun Watson, but he has once again shown that he could get out of really tough situations with the defense coming at you, and he, like, at one point he rolled to his right and it was about to be taken down by a defender and somehow flicked the ball to a receiver and had a big gain. Like, he's able just to get out of these great situations. He's thrown the ball well down the field, and he's just the offense has really been tailored to his talents, but he himself is just such an important part of this team, and that he was the reason why the Texans were so exciting last year. And then when he got injured, they just completely bombed the rest of the way. He once again, his energy and the way that he's been playing, they've overcome offensive line issues to have this team be as good as it is, and it's a lot of it is because of him. And of course, it doesn't hurt that the defense with Watt and Clowney.
Watt being healthy, Clowney.
Yeah, Dunn had a few sacks in this game. Like, there was a few great plays. Matthew continues to have a great game. Kareem Jackson continues to have a great season. Like, it's just the defense is very good as well. It's not, I wouldn't say it's up there with the Bears. Cannot believe I'm saying that, but it is very. They're doing a very good job, and they're one of the more balanced teams. They feasibly could have a bye in the AFC if things break their way. Feasibly, that would mean winning out and then maybe hoping the Patriots lose a game.
The Patriots lose a game.
That's really it, and that's not like that far fetched either.
No,
pretty good odds for the Texans right now. What about your most disappointing team?
I really want to talk about the Packers, because specifically their quarterback.
Yeah.
I've gone on record saying that I think that Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the game. And he didn't really play like that against the Vikings.
Yeah, he had a rough game.
Yeah, rough game for him. I thought the Packers could be competitive in this game, and really show that like, hey, these two teams are really competitive and they're really good. And the Bears are better than fucking both of them, which is incredible. But just that having these two teams, I thought this was gonna be a better game.
Yeah.
And they just didn't put themselves in a situation where they were going to be able to stay competitive against a Vikings team that really came alive last night.
Yeah.
And I think I saw new life for them.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, 2 seasons in a row without Packers in the postseason. French or Italian chef kiss. Wow.
Yeah, the biggest thing with them is Mike McCarthy is one of the most uncreative play callers in the league, and he needs to be fired. I mean, I understand the joy of not having the Packers around as a Bears fan. For the fun football fans out there, which I know you are too, but I'm just saying generally, it is such a shame that we will not have Aaron Rodgers in the postseason for the second year in a row. At least it seems like that at this point, barring like a miracle run, which has happened in the past. Which I don't necessarily want to jinx it here, but it may. You never know. But they need a coaching change. They need to get someone new in there. I just don't quite understand the play calling. Like, literally, he spends an entire, like, 30 seconds of, like, the play clock coming down, like, just yelling at the ref, where he could be coming up with
spot the ball.
Yeah, to come up with a fourth down, a fourth down play, and then when they actually run the play, the Vikings stop him.
I feel like you should know what you're, like, if it's first down, you should know what you're going to do on that, like, that next first down. If not, like, plan for a 4th and 1 or 4th and inches. You can do that. You have that thing that you hold. It's a playbook. Open it up. Point at something. Do it.
Like, they were completely unprepared, and it was
kind of just like, are you just doing this to complain?
Yeah, I'm not
because you're not getting your way, or what?
I'm not too sure what was happening there.
What was the Cardinals Packers NFC divisional game from a few years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Still one of my favorite postseason games of all time.
Yes, I loved it.
But when they made the coin flip call, there was the commentators were talking about how it was like a big deal that they didn't fucking show Aaron Rodgers the coin before he made the call, so he couldn't do his magic coin flip strategy. It was like, are you fucking serious?
Well,
that's what lost them the overtime.
Well, he did have what happened was that they called tails or whatever, and then they went to flip the coin, and the coin didn't flip. And so they had to re-flip the coin, and then when they re-flipped it, they didn't ask Rodgers.
They didn't ask him again.
He didn't ask him a second time, if you wanted to change your coin flip. You had to just flip. They just flipped the coin again. That was but I'm with you. I don't know. I really think
that is obviously it's a coin flip.
Yeah.
It is the theoretical. It is the theoretical 50% chance to happen.
Right.
The ultimate, it could go either way. Actual math though, and probability determined that it's actually heads 51% of the time. Fun fact.
That's weird. All right.
Yeah. I don't know why, but it is.
Yeah. Weighted coins.
But still, the Packers and the commentary behind the Packers seems like they should just win. And whatever something that the refs are doing, or that the coin flipper is doing, that what they did is wrong and prevented the Packers from winning, and it's not the fact that the Packers play good football.
Yeah.
And everyone is. I'm going on a huge rant. I'm so sorry. I need to get out my frustration against this fucking team.
No, keep going. It's all good.
Everyone's also pinning the roughing the passer quarterback stuff this season on Aaron Rodgers because he got hurt, or he got scared or tackled weirdly. So now we have to protect the quarterback more. That I think is a little bit of an overreaction, but it's still there is so much emphasis on the Packers, even when they suck this year and last year, and they will next year.
Yeah, it's like the Cowboys and Patriots. It's all in that same frame.
Obviously, Patriots are still good. Yeah. Cowboys weren't that great last year. They're getting better this year, but they weren't at the start of the season. Just because they are the most popular teams doesn't mean they're the best teams. And I'm really excited that the Bears are the best team in the division right now because
yeah. I think last year, it opens it up to a broader conversation too. Because I think about last year with the Jaguars. There was not nearly enough coverage of the Jaguars, no. and it was yes, they have maybe the 30th sized fan base or whatever, but they're still winning, and they still made it all the way to the AFC Championship game. Why were you still talking about a bad middle of the line Cowboys team to lead off the top of your shows. Like it's weird.
Yeah.
There is just some weird decisions there, by people in terms of how much attention people bring to things. But in terms of the Packers, for sure, and I think that we do expect them to win every single year, and it's just this is the stretch of time where their roster is just not where it should be at the moment, and their coaching is not where it should be at the moment to get them to a championship. This is an off season where you really need to turn things around. Just at this point, just make Aaron Rodgers happy. Like he's been complaining about the coaching decisions and the roster for a while now, and he's hated some of the recent decisions that the Packers have made. Just listen to him one year. I mean, it worked with LeBron. I don't mean to compare LeBron to Aaron Rodgers here, but like it sometimes listening to the players, they actually know what they're talking about. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't see the Packers making it. They do have a relatively easy stretch, down, but like I don't know. I think the minute they reach the Bears, I think that ends. So we'll see.
Yeah.
My most disappointing team. First of all, what the fuck, Michigan? You lost to Ohio State again? You fucking idiots!
That was ugly. That made me not very happy at all.
What in the world?
Terrible that was.
Like I don't understand.
You just had to win that one game. Fuck off, Michigan. I still want to root for you, but do something against Ohio State. God damn it.
Yeah, that is insane. And speaking of Ohio team, my actual most disappointing team is the Cincinnati Bengals. And I did pick against them this week. I did not think though that they were going to be down 35 to what was it? Like it had to be like 28-7 or 35-7 or 35-14 or something like that.
35-20 was the final score.
They was a much worse deficit than that
yes.
At one point, and
I think it was like 35-7 actually.
Yeah, and that was with Andy Dalton on the field. Just such a they started out the season on a hot streak. It seemed like that they were gonna be in the mix, win a lot of games, and then all of a sudden their defense became one of the worst in NFL history, giving up back-to-back games of 300 or 500 yards on offense, and then you've run into some tough like offensive players and teams that are doing well on that side of the ball. I get it, and it's been a tough stretch, but you're not going to keep on winning if you're going to be like this. And now that you lost your quarterback, I don't see this team winning any further. No. AJ Green's going to come back this week, but I don't know, or should be. Who knows anymore. They lied to us last week. They're going to lie to us again. Yep. But I'm with I'm in the boat that this is one of the more disappointing teams this year, and they should just be cast to the side and forgotten about. And if they fucking hire Hugh Jackson as their head coach, as Adam Schefter supposedly reported.
Oh my God.
Like that the Bengals are immediately
I will follow them on Twitter if they do that.
The Bengals are immediately like they immediately are like they may already be under the Browns, but it would sink them.
The like owner of the Browns left the Browns to create the Bengals. So maybe this is just history repeating itself.
Yeah. To be fair, this whole division is Steelers, Browns. Like, if you think about it.
Yeah, you know what? You're right.
Like, if you think about it, it is a division covered in Browns except the Steelers, and that's why the Steelers win the division every year.
I never thought of it that way. It opened my eyes.
So I mean, it's like no matter what, like barring the Pittsburgh Steelers being last place one of these years,
opened
the Browns.
My secret third eye. I've been enlightened.
the Browns are gonna probably be on the bottom. But now, it is interesting. I mean, I would love to talk more about the Cleveland Browns and how surprising they've been, and
as
they're
opposed to the Baltimore Browns or the Cincinnati Browns.
yes, right, and the Cleveland Browns,
Yeah.
they're looking like they have a bright future ahead. Baker
Oh, for sure.
Mayfield had one of his best games, and he's just
Like I said last season, Chris, the Browns had to hit rock bottom before they got any better.
and
Last season
they
they hit
did,
rock bottom.
and
They're
now
so much.
they're so much better this year. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's and they're fun to watch. And I think we're gonna pick the game obviously, but the Texans, Deshaun Watson against the Browns, Baker Mayfield, a rematch of I think it was the Orange Bowl a few years ago when it was Clemson versus Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That's gonna be, whew, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited about that. But in the meantime, you got some playoff scenarios to talk about for the first time this season.
I do. So there are two playoff scenarios that could be clinched this week, both of them in the NFC. The NFC, the New Orleans Saints, they clinched the NFC South with a victory over Dallas and a Carolina loss to Tampa Bay. So both of those things have to happen in order for New Orleans to clinch their division.
What's the likelihood of that?
There's no percentage, but
Well,
I think
in your eyes, in your opinion.
I would say that uh, uh, it could be pretty likely, depending on how, because Carolina's going to be on the road.
Yeah.
So that definitely is going to affect how they play. And yeah, Saints are pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other one?
The other one is the Rams, who have a 4-game lead in the NFC West. They will win their division simply by beating Detroit.
That seems very likely.
Yes. I also assume, it doesn't say this explicitly, but I also assume that if the Seahawks lose, that will also.
Yeah, that would. I maybe they didn't include it because they're facing the Niners this week, but
Yeah.
I would take a swing at that and say like, yeah, that's a Seahawks loss, which should clinch that for the Rams. So yeah, but so we're gonna get more of those, and hopefully they release those sooner because we had to go digging to find those playoff scenarios.
Do you want to hear the wild card race?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay. So the current division leaders, I'll start with those in the AFC are number 1 Kansas City, number 2 New England, number 3 Houston, and number 4 Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
The top 4 teams in the wild card race in the AFC are the Los Angeles Chargers, the Baltimore Ravens, the Indianapolis Colts, and technically the Miami Dolphins, although I believe Denver has the best chance out of all of the 5 and 6 teams.
I would say so as well.
Other 5 and 6 teams are Cincinnati and Tennessee.
Yeah.
Okay. In the NFC, division leaders: number 1 New Orleans, number 2 Los Angeles Rams, number 3 Chicago, and number 4 Dallas. Currently leading their divisions. In the wild card race, we have all teams with 6 and 5 or above. We have Minnesota, Washington, Seattle, and Carolina are the current top 4 teams looking in. Next up is Green Bay, who I still don't think is going to make it.
I think after Green Bay, it's all basically eliminated by this point.
Yeah.
I
think. Atlanta, probably not.
Probably not. No.
And beyond that, it's garbage.
Yeah, I mean the fact they got a few playoff teams, potential playoff teams they gotta face. I don't have faith in Falcons right now.
Yep.
We're going. I'm looking at the NFC picture right now, and we could talk a bit about the North because.
Let's.
Because the Bears, it's a fascinating weekend because you got the Bears going to the Giants, and that should be a victory barring some sort of absolute disaster.
Yes.
And then the Packers are taking on the Cardinals. That should be a win, but I'm not really gonna talk about the Packers there.
The Packers are 2 games behind 500. They're not gonna make the playoffs.
Yeah. The Bears' best friend this weekend is the New England Patriots.
Yes.
And It,
Because if
yeah.
the Bears win and the Vikings lose, the Bears will be 3 games up, with currently a tiebreaker.
And only 4 games left in the season.
Yeah. So like one more win from the Bears
Would clinch
uh
it.
would clinch it.
And and then the following weekend's even bigger because you got the Bears hosting the Rams on Sunday Night Football.
That is the Bears' hardest game left.
That it is.
Yeah.
And
But the rest of the Bears schedule, it's the Giants, the 49ers, the Packers, and the Vikings.
right. And I'm sure you're very confident about the Packers and beating them. The big thing I think that might push the Bears to an NFC North title, Vikings at Seahawks, and I talked about it earlier. I think the Seahawks win that game right now,
Yeah.
as things stand,
Yeah.
and that I think if let's say worst case happens, and let's say Bears win this weekend, but they lose against the Rams, they'd be sitting at 9-4.
Yep.
Vikings, if they lose this weekend and lose the following weekend, the Vikings would be sitting at 6-1. They can only get to 9 wins, and then from there, the Bears, their only thing that they have to do is get one more victory, and that
Yeah.
would either be against the Packers, the Vikings, or the Niners, and that
Right.
seems
And if
that they
they
could
just
do it.
win, if they just beat the Vikings, that's done.
That's it. That's it right
Yeah.
there.
So I say the current division leaders in the NFC remain the division leaders.
Yeah, the Cowboys.
The
They're gonna.
Cowboys, I think, could lose it to Philly potentially,
Yeah.
but Philly would have to turn on the gas.
Yeah, because the Eagles have the Rams and the Texans on their schedule. The Cowboys, they
Yeah.
do have
The
it's
Saints,
they do have the
obviously.
Saints, but they also and they have the Colts too.
Mm.
But they do have the Eagles again, which is I think that'll be interesting. They have the Buccaneers and then the Giants. While the Eagles obviously have the Cowboys and they have the Redskins to take care of, but they have the Rams, Texans, and then the Redskins again. The Eagles seem like they have the tougher schedule, so I would lean towards the Cowboys. I would remove the Redskins from this altogether,
Oh,
just considering
for sure.
considering their quarterback
They
situation.
would still be in it if Alex Smith was fine, but
Yeah,
gonna lead them to the playoffs.
yeah. Uh, and I think that's really like the two most fascinating division battles right now. I think
Yep.
everyone else is pretty much lining. I think although we'll see how the AFC South plays out because this weekend Texans and Colts could maybe take care of business, and then they face each other. And if, let's say the Colts win that, then it's going to be a tight race down the stretch. So, but right now the Texans have a firm grip, I think, on the AFC South until something else happens otherwise. So then, with that being said, it's time for our Week 13 picks.
Hell yeah, it is.
So we've had a shift in the competition now. I have now taken the lead.
Yes, you have.
I'm up 3 points now, 38-35. It's the 105 to 68 is my current record. You have 103 to 70. You went 10-5 last week. I went 12-3.
It's always around this time.
I know, but it is gonna end up. I want to see how this week goes because I feel like that I don't know. We may defer on a few of these picks here, but I think that as December comes to a close and stuff, we're gonna start having these toss-up games that are gonna be like, I don't know, and
Yeah.
we'll see. There's plenty of game left. We'll see. As for how we're doing with each individual team, the Rams are still our best games. I'm still 11-0. You're 10-1. The only loss was the Chiefs game.
Right.
Um,
Crumble.
yeah, the bottom two teams, the ones that we need to improve our picking status on. For you, Go Cubs, it's the Browns and the Steelers.
Okay.
Not the Titans.
Interesting.
Yeah, just a combo.
Interesting flex.
For me, it's the Panthers and Titans.
Yes.
Freaking Panthers, man! I jump on their bus and then they fucking skid. That's what happens.
Yeah.
Get off the bus now, I guess. Start to let them start winning. Um, all right, let's pick. First up, big game in Dallas. This should be a fun one. The New Orleans Saints going to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. I think it's gonna be a close game. This is eerie though because apparently in 2009, the Saints were on a 13 game winning streak or a 9 game winning streak. There's a huge difference between those two numbers, but there is some sort of big winning streak that they're going into this game with against the Cowboys that were just kind of like in the middle, and the Cowboys beat them, and it was, I believe it was either a Thursday night football game or it was some sort of big game that happened around this time. But it's kind of eerie right now that the Saints on a 10 game winning streak going into Dallas. Will the past rear its ugly head, or will the Saints prevail?
So, have I told you about the Amari Cooper effect?
Yeah, well, yes, of course.
So this is mainly a thing in fantasy where he does super well for you, and then he starts to just get maybe 1 target and 0 receptions in a game.
Mm.
So he goes from being like everyone's favorite to why do I have him in the first place? That is going to be the Cowboys team this week. I don't think the Cowboys are completely dead yet, and I think they will win the division. But they they've been doing too well. So I think that going up against this Saints team, who has an MVP quarterback, will not be able to hold up. So I'm going to go with the Saints this week.
Yeah, I really want to go. The Cowboys are attempting Team Chaos. But I can't do it this week.
You can't,
because the Saints are just doing too well.
They're so good.
They're the best team in the league, and I just don't see them slowing down. It'll be a tough battle for them, but I think they pull it out. Saints are my pick. Next up, the Ravens going to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. And this is a game that the Ravens need in order to stay in the wild card hunt. What do you got in this one, Gibbs?
I think that the Ravens are going to continue to dominate with Lamar Jackson. Falcons don't have that great of a defense, and we see how Lamar Jackson does against not good defenses. Raiders.
Yeah, Ravens.
So Ravens.
A big note for this game is that Deion Jones is coming back, who has been out since week 1, and a big part of the reason why the Falcons defense has not been as good as it has been. He's their best defensive player, and he has a really good shot coming back this week. Again, injury reports at this point are a little, we don't know for sure, but that's where it's at right now. I'm going Team Chaos Falcons on this one.
Okay, all right.
And the only reason is because Matt Ryan is having a pretty solid year, offensively. The offense is doing so well, and like I said, the Ravens' defense is still worrying me. They're not as dominant as they originally were. This is at home, and it's in a situation where they're going against a rookie quarterback that they could take advantage of. And Lamar Jackson's great. He's fun to watch. And again, it'll be a close game. I'll go Falcons, Team Chaos in this one.
Okay.
Next up, the Denver Broncos will be going to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. And this one is the debut of Jeff Driscoll as a starting quarterback. He's from Louisiana Tech, so we'll get to know him.
Please don't talk to me about Louisiana Tech.
He may have been the quarterback of that team.
Yeah, honestly, you're probably right.
Let
me look.
He may
just so I could.
Okay, so just to fill in the viewers here, Illinois, which is Go Cubs' team, played Louisiana Tech in the what was it called?
The only bowl game that I went to.
Yeah, well, I forget what it was. The Heart of Dallas Bowl. That was
Heart of Dallas. They've Zaxby's Heart of Dallas Bowl.
Yeah, they've since changed the name. I think it's like the First Responders Bowl now.
Yes.
But Heart of Dallas.
He transferred to Louisiana Tech in 2015. after I went there.
Ah,
So
okay.
no bad blood for him specifically, but the school he was at.
Yeah, and Louisiana Tech unfortunately handed Illinois an L. So, but
We
they,
didn't deserve the win, but still.
regardless,
Yeah.
Denver's on a hot streak. They're looking to keep their hopes alive. I mean, they have an easy schedule, but a loss could easily derail their season. What's going to
True.
happen for the Go Cubs?
I think
For the
the
Go
Broncos
Cubs.
are
Oh my
gonna.
God, for the Broncos.
Did you just call me Broncos?
Yeah, I called the Broncos Go Cubs for some reason.
Oh, all right. Well, in that case, the Go Cubs are going to win. Broncos won on the road.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. Broncos, and I think that they're starting to get hot at the right time, so I'm with it. Next up, the Los Angeles Rams. It's coming off their bye. Gonna go up against the Detroit Lions, who are at home for I think the third straight week.
Yeah.
And they've been competitive at home. With I think the only exception being week 1, against the fucking Jets. But I don't know. We could see something magical happen here. But what do you think, Go Cubs?
We could, but the Lions just lost at home to Chase Daniel.
What? Chase Daniel
played great. But it's the Rams we're talking about.
No, yes, that's fair.
Let's go Rams.
Yeah, I'm with the Rams here. No way. Next up, the Cardinals are going to Green Bay Packers. Speaking of that division round game, this is the first time they're meeting since. And so now...
I so wish it was more competitive.
You wish it was more competitive.
I don't trust the Cardinals to do anything right now. Go Pack.
I have to go Packers too. Oh man, would it be great to see Larry Fitzgerald have like one of those games again, and just absolutely be like a Packer killer, in this sense. But I remember there was 2 games that year. Obviously the second one was the much more memorable one. The first one though was the Packers blowing out the Cardinals. This game's gonna be more like the first game. Okay. Anyways, the next up, the Cleveland Browns going up against the Houston Texans again. Baker Mayfield going against Deshaun Watson. I think this is gonna be among the best games of the day. I'm very much looking forward to this one. What do you got in this one?
I swear to God, if this is game of the week, I will know how to contain myself and tell myself last year that this would be the case.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go with the home team. The Texans are hot. They're gonna get hotter.
Yeah. How insane is it? The first team ever to start 0-3 and then go to 8-3 is insane. Yes. They are looking nice to go to 9-3. I got the Browns. They've been fun, but I think this is going to be the kill shot here for them. So Texans in this one. Next up, the Indianapolis Colts are going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, so first of all, a lot to break down with the Jaguars here.
Yep. Just like offensive coordinator gets let go.
He doesn't deserve it.
No.
I don't think so anyway.
Going into that, but he's gone. Second thing, they bench Blake Bortles.
Yeah.
Which I like. I get it, but I also don't get it. Third thing, Leonard Fournette suspended a game for he's appealing it, but for getting involved in a fight on field that didn't involve to cross the field for it, which again I get.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff just falling apart for them. This team's not going to be emotionally. I honestly don't think emotionally prepared for this game against the Colts. So I have to go with Indy.
I'm going Colts too. I get the Bortles benching completely, and someone did a really interesting breakdown of the game and Bortles and the way that he looked. he did this weird thing in this game, and he's done it in the past, but it's very prevalent in this game, where he like turns his arm almost sideways as he winds up the ball, and it just makes the ball so much less accurate coming out of his hands. Some weird ass mechanics there that he had that just have resurfaced for him.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why Cody Kessler is now starting and will probably be starting for the rest of the year. It's a shame. This could very well be the end of the Blake Bortles era in Jacksonville. Could another team pick him up? For sure. He'll be a great backup quarterback somewhere. But
I do want to point one thing out regarding this team.
Yes.
Last season on The Good Place, the Jaguars were like consistently made fun of like being a bad team, and like this one character was super into them, and he's not that smart of a guy, so like of course he'd root for the Jaguars.
Yes.
And then they got really good and made it to the AFC Championship.
Yes.
And then this season on The Good Place, one of the characters has a line where, like, after the universe was altered, I'm trying to, like, not spoil the plot of the show, but the universe was altered in some way where a character mentions the Jacksonville Jaguars are, like, actually good now. Like, there's still some debate on whether Blake Bortles is good or not, but, like, they're winning games. Since that episode, the Jaguars have not won a game.
Wow. Talk about a jinx.
Yeah.
My goodness gracious. That's disheartening. And I don't know. The Jaguars have left me speechless, I think, this year. It is just what a year it has been for them.
Last year they left me speechless. And this year they're leaving me speechless for the other reason. Let's move on.
Yeah. Next up, what's that? Oh yeah, the Buffalo Bills going to Miami to take on the Dolphins. I'm gonna be honest here. This is my favorite rivalry in the NFL for the sole reason for the sole reason of the uniforms. Like, what's happening here? It's like this red dark blue mixed with like the orange light blue mix. Like, I love it, and it's weird though, and that's why I appreciate it so much. So I'm excited about this game this weekend. Anyways, what do you think is gonna happen?
I don't know.
Bills are 2 in a row, baby. Let's go.
They are. And right now I have it on my screen where they're going to be 3 in a row.
Really?
I'm going to... Can I Team Chaos this?
Oh, absolutely. You can Team Chaos it. Yeah.
Okay. Bills win. Team Chaos.
Yeah.
What am I thinking?
I know. I love it.
Look, Josh Allen has a cannon for an arm.
He's doing well. And he's mobile, too, which I was not ever seeing.
As middling as the Dolphins are right now. Like, I don't know. I feel something coming out of Buffalo that may just like end up having them win the game.
Buffalo is going to be the last wild card, isn't it going to be?
No, they're not. You can't say those words.
I laugh in pure fright.
And the Titans and the Titans and Buffalo are the wild.
Yeah, again, they ruined it again. But no, I would love to go with the Bills. I really do. I just what I would have probably picked them if the Dolphins weren't as competitive against the Colts last week. They played a good game and they lost it at the end. And Ryan Tannehill does not impress me in any way. But I'm going with the Dolphins in this one.
Yeah.
Next up, the Bears on a hot streak, going to New York to take on the Giants. Ooh, feels good. It feels good to be. This is our 2 teams right here. It is.
It is. Did we have this last year?
Yes, I believe so. I think the Bears won that one.
No, because last year the Bears wins were the AFC North plus the Panthers.
No, because the Giants only beat the Broncos, Chiefs, and Redskins. Unless it wasn't last year.
Unless it was 2 years ago.
Maybe 2 years ago then.
Maybe it was 2 years ago.
But
the Bears faced the. Never mind. Let's move on.
Yeah, whatever. Anyways, here we are. The Giants are taking on the Bears. Are you riding with your team in this one?
Why would I not?
Of course, yeah,
Uh,
no,
it is kind of cool. The Giants are like actually starting to win games.
kind of.
Kind of.
They
They didn't
blew it
against the
last
Eagles.
week.
Yeah. But the Bears are just they suffocate. Their defense suffocates. Eddie Jackson is the best cornerback in the league. Maybe not, but
Yeah.
like in terms of interceptions returned for touchdowns, yes. In that
Yes.
specific metric, that is true.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that the Giants just that offensive line versus Khalil Mack and
Yeah.
Roquan Smith. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. It's yeah.
Are you is are you kidding me?
Yeah. No, it is not gonna end well. I believe the Giants have only one home win, and it was a recent game. Of course, it was against the Bucks, but
Yeah,
they haven't really found success at home or on the road, and they're going against the team that's most likely to win their division right now. I don't see them doing it. The
no,
Bears are hot, and they should get the win, and it should hopefully further cement themselves on the top of the NFC North pecking order. So
yes.
going with the Bears. Next up, the Panthers. Oh, their enemies on the road, and the enemy is the road rather,
Yep.
and they gotta go to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. Bucks won pretty nicely last week against the Niners, 27-9. Didn't get to see a whole lot of that game, but apparently Winston wasn't that bad. And the
Yeah.
Panthers, they're reeling. But what do we have? Do we think the Panthers are going to have a rebound week in this one?
I I think that they'll be okay this week. And improve their record a bit and try to Panthers can still make it into the playoffs and I think do damage in the postseason. So they want this. They really want this win.
They gotta get
They're
this
gonna
win.
do it through Christian McCaffrey, but they're gonna win this game.
They're still going up against one of the worst defenses.
Yes.
Even though the defense stepped up last week for the Bucks, it's not going to convince me that they will stop the Panthers. I still like the Panthers offense as it sits right now. This could end up being like a shootout type game. I see the Panthers succeeding right now, and yeah, if they drop this game and go to 6-6, my goodness gracious, it would be one of those like just complete 180s from where this team was a few weeks ago when they were sitting at like what they were 6-2, and
Yeah.
they were considered one of the best in the NFL, and that would be tough. But no, I'm feeling the Panthers in this one as well. Chiefs at Raiders. Here
Let's
we
move on,
go.
Chiefs. Let's go. Let's
Chiefs.
go. Keep going.
Chiefs. All right. Next up,
Chiefs.
Jets at Titans. Wow, I think our quickest recap yet. Jets at Titans. The Titans are coming off a tough loss against the Texans. The Jets coming off of multiple rough losses against their AFC East rivals, and now they finally get an interconference, non-interdivision matchup. Will anything happen for the Jets in this game?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I think the Titans will find some sort of stability this week. The Jets won't. Let's go Titans.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. Titans are gonna go. By the way, I did want to say at least one thing about the Chiefs Raiders. Beautiful uniform matchup. It's gonna be a beautiful
Oh
uniform
yeah,
matchup.
yeah.
That's
The red versus the black.
yeah. It's
Right.
gonna look solid as hell. The game itself won't be. But yeah, the Titans. No, I still think the Titans could win their next two games or so. But then it's gonna be continuing that momentum. That's gonna be difficult. But we will see. Titans still in the mix. Next up, God, this game looked incredible when the schedule came out. Doesn't look as great this time, but it's still gonna be fun. The Vikings going to New England to take on the Patriots in one of the biggest games of the weekend. This is go Cubs. This is your opportunity here. What do you got?
The Patriots lost to the Lions. The Patriots were 1 yard away from losing to the Bears. The Patriots are not as good of a team as they were last year, and I will stand by that.
Yeah.
But they're at home.
Yeah.
and I don't know if the Vikings have fully found themselves. And in the interest of extending the Bears' division lead, I'm gonna go with the Patriots.
Yeah, it's. I think a few weeks ago, with the Vikings playing as well as they had been, I would have picked the I would not probably not would I probably would not have picked the Vikings because I need to keep the Patriots thing alive.
Yeah.
But they would have been much more tempting. But now, I'm guaranteeing the Patriots win this game.
Oh baby.
So let's do this.
Oh mama.
Oh mama.
Oh.
So yeah, I feel good. I think the Patriots they're starting to find their offense again. Brady's still not as accurate as he has been, and that's worrisome. But he's getting there. He's also dealing with a lot of like smaller injuries, so we'll see how that affects him in this game.
Yeah.
But tough pass rush to go against. It'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting. Yeah. Next, the Niners going to Seattle take on the Seahawks. The Richard Sherman revenge game. Will he get the revenge?
I don't think so. The Seahawks are hot.
Yeah.
I would not have considered the Seahawks hot maybe a few weeks ago, but I would not be surprised if they made the postseason this year.
Yeah.
At all. This may be a little bit cheap, so you can veto it if you want. I was gonna lock this game.
Yeah, I would veto it just because the Niners are 2-9 and reeling.
Okay. In that case, I will lock the. Can I be that confident about the Saints over the Cowboys?
Yeah.
To lock that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
If you want,
lock the Saints.
If you feel good about it, go for it.
All right. And then, but I'm still choosing the Seahawks to win.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling the Seahawks as well. They're doing well. They're at home. I don't see them beating this Niners team at all. Next up, Sunday Night Football. The Chargers are going to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers in one of the biggest matchups of December. And this is going to have a lot is at stake here. The Chargers either carrying over their wild card momentum or the Steelers further cementing themselves on top of their AFC North. Either way, this is a must, or not a must win, but it's a big game for these two teams in getting to the playoffs. What's going to happen in this one?
These next two Sunday Night Football games, I think, have huge implications.
For sure.
For the postseason. With Chargers Steelers this week, Rams Bears next week.
Yep.
For this week, Chargers and Steelers, I'm gonna go with the Chargers.
Feel good about the Chargers.
Yeah, the Steelers play so much better at home, but I feel like the Chargers. Excuse me for this. The Chargers have a spark. That because their logo's a lightning bolt.
Yes, we get it. Go,
yeah, that I think will help them out.
Yeah, I'm gonna defer. It's only because I really want to pick the Chargers here. I really do.
Yeah,
but
the Steelers are at home.
They're at home. It's hard to travel across the country, and that's not like. It's not like the worst thing in the world. You could probably win those games, but it's just a really big game for them to take on, and I don't know. I think that it would be the Steelers just don't seem like the kind of team right now that would lose 2 in a row. Nor are the Chargers, and they won't lose 2 in a row. They got the Cardinals buffer in between at least. But I gotta go Steelers in this one. It's a very, very tight race. It kind of it's like reminding me of the Chiefs Rams a little bit.
Yeah.
On that it's two balanced teams. But yeah, next up, the Monday Night Football game between the Washington Redskins and the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's face it, the winner of this game needs this. to stay alive in their respective division. Because if not, I don't think that they have what it takes to win the division at this point. They can't. Neither can afford a big loss here. What do you have for this one?
One team is on the rise. One team is falling, and I think that the rising team is the one with wings. Home field advantage for the Eagles against a backup quarterback. Not that the Eagles have like any historical significance with the backup quarterback or anything, but I think that the Eagles are going to be able to take this one because they can still make the playoffs.
I think so too. I don't know. I think that I would have maybe let like leaned the other way if the Giants held their lead, but they came back roaring, and it just felt like the Eagles kind of reawakened themselves in this game. Their secondary is still very scary. In the sense of that they're scary bad.
Yeah.
And so there's some worry there. Just generally on the defense, but this Redskins offense, with the only exception maybe being Adrian Peterson, is not very threatening. And I just think at home they really should be able to take care of business. I know we kind of said it last week, or last division game with the Eagles, or with the Eagles and Cowboys, rather, the last primetime division game for them. And we thought the Eagles would roll here, but it didn't end up happening. I'm very confident the Eagles take care of business here, so I'm going with them.
Yeah.
And with that, 3 disagreements throughout for us. Team chaoses, and then of course the big Sunday Night Football game between the Steelers and Chargers. And of course this, like I said, it's going to be the start of the playoff clinching. I think the Rams are going to clinch. The Saints may not clinch yet, but they'll get close, I think.
Next week.
Yeah. Anything else for any fantasy stuff that you would like to add for this week?
I would say for most people, this is the last week of your regular season, or it is the start of your playoffs. In which case, try to find a defense who has a really easy bout the rest of the season. Odds are Broncos defense, you're not going to be able to get off the waivers, but if you can, what is wrong with you? You should have had them yesterday. On top of that, pay close attention to your playoff schedule. Your trade deadline has probably already passed, so you can't really trade with anyone. But your ability to your ability to still select your players and pick up waiver wires is still going to be important. So do that.
Yeah, potentially.
I will tell you about the playoff schedule for my studs when we get off call, Chris, but I'm very excited.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the Vikings could have a good defensive schedule, but they have the Patriots and Seahawks, so that storyline might get obliterated quick.
Yeah.
Texans have the Colts on the schedule, but they could be a defensive. Could be a good defense down the stretch. You never know.
Yeah.
So there's a few options out there, I guess. But we will see as it comes down to it. Next time you talk to us, we will be in December completely at that point. And you know what December means? It's bowl season, baby. College football. Kicking off. I'm very excited about that. It would be.
Did you see the current rankings?
Yes, I did.
Current top 4? Okay.
Yes, and I will die inside if the SEC gets 2 teams in again. just a part of me.
Let's just hope Georgia wins.
If they win, though, you'll have 2 SEC teams.
No. Here, Georgia wins, Clemson wins, Notre Dame does nothing, and Oklahoma wins. Oklahoma or Ohio State win.
The committee is too high on Alabama.
Yeah, but
Alabama has 8 top 25 wins.
Oh, they do?
They have half the SEC is in the top 25.
That's different then,
Yeah.
because usually Alabama like stacks their schedule against easy teams.
Well, it's because all of them are it's all SEC teams,
Yeah,
and
that's
they're
true.
all considered in such a high regard that they're all kind of ranked very
I
highly.
see your points.
This is where
Still don't want to root for Alabama in the SEC championship, but
I don't want to root for Alabama, but it's like either way we lose. So
yeah,
maybe let's just hope for one of the SEC teams. Um, yeah, but yeah, it's gonna be fun, and we'll see. Maybe when bowl season approaches, we could insert some bowl pickage in the mix there. If we know anything
yeah,
about the smaller college football teams, we'll give it a shot. Might as well just bullshit it,
yeah.
See how it goes. But with that being said, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Go Cubs, thank you again so much for joining.
Yes, always.
And be good to one another, be kind to one another, and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.